Morning guys, Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. Today I really just came down to the classroom area. I've got this big overhang down here so it makes it easy to work under in sometimes what's inclement weather out here. And I had to pack up my stuff kind of in a rainstorm in Texas last week at our Texas basic class. Torrential rains the last couple days. Guys suffered through it, did a great job, got everything taken care of and learned all of the lessons that we could possibly teach them in a driving rain. But we ended up having to pack up in the rain to get out of there. And so I packed most of my stuff up and just stuffed it into my sleep system, my hammock and all that stuff. I just stuffed it into my backpack. So now I need to pull it out, get it all separated, get it dried out, get it put back in the stuff sacks, get it rearranged. And I also thought while I was down here I would do some prototype testing on a new product that's coming to Self-Reliance Outfitters for 2019 that I'm doing development on right now. And I think that development work is also important for you to see on video. So we're going to talk about some of that as well during this video. And I just thought I'd kind of shoot, it's almost like a day in the life type video. This is the kind of stuff I'm doing today. I'm unpacking, repacking, separating, sorting. I'm doing some prototype stuff. And I apologize that my videos haven't been coming as readily as they normally do, but I have a couple problems right now. The first one is I've been traveling a lot teaching. I was in Florida and Texas in the last 30 days teaching 2 times, so that took me away from here shooting videos. My other problem is, frankly, my internet service. Frontier Internet is probably the most horrible service I've ever seen. It's the only service that's available out here where I live, kind of in the sticks, but I'm guaranteed to have a certain upload and download speed for the money I'm paying, which is over $100 a month. And I never even get to 70% of that speed that I pay for, which I'm guaranteed. Most of the time I'm at less than 20%, and right now I'm at 0% upload. If you know what a speed test is, when I run a speed test, it flatlines and times out on upload. So I have to drive away from my property and borrow internet from someone else to upload videos, which makes it even more of a pain to get videos up timely. But it is what it is. That's the price you pay for living in the sticks. I've got the internet service coming out here for the 5th time in the last 7-8 months on Wednesday. Hopefully they'll fix it again for another 2 weeks before it goes to crap and I can upload a few videos. But for now, I'll just keep doing what I gotta do to keep getting you guys stuff. Stay with me. We're gonna unpack this stuff and then we're gonna look at a new product for 2019. So I've got a pretty good area here to use inside this overhang. When it was built, it was set up so that there is 20 feet this direction. It's 20 by 40. So I've got pillars or support beams that are 6 by 6s every so often down through this building on both sides, and that allows me to put hammocks up in here if I need to. So I'm going to unload some of the stuff that I'm going to use for my prototyping here, and then I'm going to get down to the wet stuff. What I've got to do is I've got to set my hammock up because basically I just stuffed it in here. I'll show you that when I pull it out. So I'm just going to set up a couple of straps here on these beams. At about head level, one on each side, and then we'll pull my entire sleep system out of here that I stuffed in the rain, and we'll look at that. And now I use a DD 3x3 tarp, 3 meter by 3 meter tarp, along with this sleep system. And basically this sleep system, you can see everything's just kind of jammed in here right now. So I gotta pull it all out. And it's basically a Dutchware chameleon hammock and hammockgear.com underquilt overquilt. And like I said, it's kind of a mess right now. So I'm just kind of going to pull everything out and hang it up so that I can separate it. And then we'll kind of talk about it once I get it straightened out. Okay, so that gets things stretched out where they normally are, and I've got my Dutchware Chameleon hammock with bug net here, and then a hammockgear.com underquilt overquilt scenario, and this is a 20-degree underquilt and overquilt. I also have a whoopee in here, just a poncho liner, and I usually carry a poncho liner with me on top of that stuff when I'm winter camping. And I say winter, you know, you don't think winter in Texas is that cold, but when it's 75 during the day and all of a sudden it's, you know, 35, 40 at night, that gets cold really quick because your body can't get used to that temperature jump. So what I generally do is my feet are what get cold more than anything else, especially when they're elevated in a hammock. So I take that whoopee a lot of times and I'll just shove it straight to the bottom and stick my feet in that in my overquilt. And that usually takes care of the problem. Probably an old man problem from circulation, I don't know. But anyway, if it happens to you, that's a cure for the problem. You can also buy baffin booties and things like that are made out of down that you can wear. A lot of hammock companies also sell those booties that you can wear. So I assume it's a common problem in hammocks for your feet to get cold, even if they're stuffed into that overquilt, like I said, because my overquilt does have a foot box in it down at the bottom here that actually zips up here, that you can zip up and you can actually cinch it down so that you have a foot box in there. That's like, I don't know, a little bit less than a quarter of the way, but I'm going to stretch this all out, let this down, fluff up a little bit before I put everything away. And then I'm just going to pull all the bags out of the bottom of my pack where I stuff them when I set up. Let all this stuff get good and dry, good and fluff back up, and then stuff things back where they came from. I've got a set of bags. They recommend that you don't store these underquilts and overquilts compressed or stuffed. They provide, hammockgear.com provides a large muslin bag that you put these into when you're not using them or not packing them so that they don't stay compressed for a long period of time. So I'll put them in that before I put everything away. Okay, so now on to some product development here. As you know, we've got this kettle that we currently sell. It's got a basket that goes inside the kettle so that you can put your coffee or whatever in the kettle and kind of percolate that without getting the grounds in your coffee. That works really well. I want to be able to give people whatever they desire as far as being able to utilize our stainless steel to make food and drinks and beverages the way they want to. One of the things that's really popular nowadays is called the French press. And this is really one of my favorite pieces of gear that I carry a lot in my kit. This one's kind of a new one here. The one of my kit's quite a bit more burnt. But the size of this is almost perfect for a single guy or a single person cook set. You can store a 26-ounce cup inside there. You can actually get a small stove inside there if you're using some kind of a pocket rocket type stove or some kind of a Snow Peak. Even the Coleman Peak 1 butane stove will fit inside there. So you can store a lot of stuff inside here as well. You can store your coffee in there if you want to, just like this, which is what I do. Just like that, so that you have your coffee ready when you go. And this is Lemel coffee from northern Sweden. But I've got a bag of it here in a reindeer pouch. So the way these French presses work, and this one again is a prototype. So all I've done with this one is I've taken this tab off and I'm using the same lid. And this French press was designed overseas to fit on top of this existing pot to work in conjunction with it. There are some improvements I'm going to want to make to this. We're going to get rid of these slits and things like that. I'd also like to get this more like a coffee pot, get rid of these holes for the hanger bale, and actually put a spout on here like a bush pot has on it. But those are all future things that I'm looking at. Right now, I want to see if this French press is going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some French press coffee and talk about how that's done, all right? I've got a Coleman Sportster Guide Series stove here that I use quite often. That works really well. It's still got some pressure on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to equalize everything and release the pressure by taking the fuel lid off. And this stove really works a treat if you don't mind the weight. And we're going to give it a few pumps. Get our lighter out. And when we turn this valve, it comes on. And once it heats up this generator rod, it will start to burn very, very clean and very well. Like I said, I keep it in this pouch right here that I made out of an old tarp. And it really works a treat if you don't mind carrying just a little bit of extra weight to have that stove. And I really don't mind it because it's not that heavy to begin with. So we're just going to get our kettle on here on the boil and get that ready. Now, the way this works is you would take coarse ground coffee, which this Lemon coffee is a coarse ground coffee. It's kind of made for making cowboy coffee out of. That's kind of what they do over there in Sweden, is what we call cowboy coffee. And I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to spoon in 2 full scoops in here of this spoon heaping. Maybe 3 actually, depending on how strong you want your coffee, I guess. In Sweden, they pour enough of this coffee on top of their coffee pot that they say a mouse can walk across the top of the coffee without getting his feet wet. So you can only imagine how much coffee that is in a coffee pot. It's a lot. In a Swedish coffee pot, you would use almost this entire brick of Lemon coffee. So we've got that thing with some grounds on the bottom. And now we're going to set that aside for a minute and just wait for our water to heat up, and then we'll start back up again. As you can see, the stove's getting right with it now. Cooking really, really nice. Everything's heated up. Starting to get some bubbles on the side. Be ready to rock and roll any minute now. So while we're waiting on this to boil, let's talk about this French press for a minute. What a French press does really is it just separates the coffee grounds from the coffee. It separates your mark from your extraction. So it has very good applications for herbal things as well. If you were to, say, make some type of a herbal tea and you put the herb directly into the water, at the end you can separate that without filtering it, because this French press becomes a filtering device. You've got several different filters on here and screens that actually push down and drive the mark or the coffee or whatever you've got in there to the bottom and let the water come through that's got the extraction in it. So you have created a coffee in a French press, but you could do the same thing with a herbal remedy of some sort that you made in camp or at your house. So again, we've got our coarse ground coffee in the bottom, and now we're going to make coffee the way they make it with a French press, which is a little different than cowboy coffee. So we're going to walk through that process. Our water's just about to boil. Stay with me. One thing I like about this stove is you can actually adjust this lever and turn your heat down so you can adjust the amount of flame you have. And I'm kind of keeping this thing right at the boiling point. And adjusting it down to simmer. You can hear that change. Open that lever. All right, so the first thing we're going to do with this coffee is we're going to pour enough water in here to just cover the grounds. And we're going to let that sit for 30, 40 seconds, a minute, something like that, before we add additional water. Okay, so once we've covered the coffee grounds and let it sit for about a minute, you can see it's starting to get some foam on the top. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Once we get to that point, then we're going to go ahead and add the amount of water we want. And we're going to let that sit for about 3 minutes. We're going to go ahead and put our press on top. Just close everything in and let it steep for 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, so now that we let that sit and steep, we take our French press and we push down, even pressure. And if you get grounds in your coffee after this, then you probably have a coffee grind that is too fine. If you find it hard to push this down to separate the grounds from the coffee with your French press, then you've probably got a grind that's too coarse. And we should be ready to go. Well, I just kind of pulled the French press out of here to see if any grounds had kind of escaped through. Looks like everything's trapped on the bottom, and I don't see any grounds on the side. So I'd say that part was definitely a successful test. I know what this coffee tastes like. Well, guys, I appreciate you joining me today for this quick video. Just a little day in the life type vlog video, unpacking some gear, talking about my sleep system real quick, and doing some prototype testing on a new product for SRO. Again, this product won't be available till at least mid-2019 probably, by the time I get done finishing up any improvements that I want to make on it, get another prototype sample in from overseas. We order them and get them over here by boat. You're looking at mid-2019, but I'm constantly trying to improve our stainless steel so that it's more enjoyable for you in the woods, more usable for you in the woods, and that it can be multifunctional. This press is multifunctional in that it can be used to make coffee, but it can also be used for your herbal remedies and herbal infusions and decoctions as well, again, to separate the mark from the extraction. Good coffee. Lemon coffee is one of the few coffees I can stand to drink just straight black, to be honest with you. I never developed a taste for black coffee like my father did, but lemon coffee is actually pretty good, even black. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.